What if I told you there's a hidden war raging inside you right now, one that's silently sabotaging your happiness, your relationships, and your very purpose? Carl Jung warned that humanity's greatest battle isn't out there in the world. It's here, in the shadows of your soul. A war between who you pretend to be and who you were born to become. And the root of this suffering, a toxic force you've been taught to call love. But Jung called it by its true name, emotional attachment. You're not alone if you feel trapped, stuck in relationships that drain you, chasing goals that leave you empty, or begging for validation from a world that never seems to care. You cling to these soul-crushing chains because you fear losing your identity, your security, your worth. But here's the forbidden truth Jung discovered. Your greatest power doesn't come from holding on. It comes from letting go. And today, I'll reveal exactly how to break free from these invisible prisons, faster than you ever thought possible. But before we dive into Jung's life-changing secrets, do me a favor. If you're ready to reclaim your power and finally live authentically, hit that subscribe button and join thousands who've already transformed their lives through this channel. Why? Because what I'm about to share isn't just theory, it's a spiritual revolution. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Don't forget to ring the bell so you're the first to unlock these breakthroughs. Now, let's expose the lies keeping you small and awaken the Titan within you. Imagine for a moment what your life would be like if you stopped emotionally depending on others' opinions, social expectations, or even the outcomes of your actions. This is not an abstract concept. It is a profound shift that Jung believed we could all achieve by exploring and understanding our shadows. The shadow, as Jung described it, is everything we repress or deny about ourselves because it doesn't fit the image we want to project. Those parts of our personality that we've hidden out of fear of rejection or judgment are actually the key to our liberation. When we dare to look at those shadows, not with fear, but with curiosity, we begin to reclaim the power we previously handed over to the external world. Think about it. Every time you seek validation from someone else, you're giving away a part of your energy. Every time you fear failure or rejection, you're allowing something external to control your life. Emotional attachment is nothing more than a form of dependency that drains your power and limits your ability to live fully. Jung understood this deeply and invited us to transform that dependency into conscious detachment. This detachment does not mean you stop loving, dreaming, or having goals. On the contrary, it means you can love without need, dream without fear of failure, and pursue your goals without being enslaved to outcomes. When you achieve this, you begin to experience a freedom that few people ever come to know. You might wonder how it's possible to let go of something that feels so essential to your identity. Jung taught that the first step is to look within and recognize your true motives. Why do you cling to a relationship that harms you more than it helps? Why is it so hard to let go of an idea of success that clearly doesn't fulfill you? The answer almost always lies in your unconscious. According to Jung, the unconscious is a vast ocean of symbols, emotions, and patterns that shape our reality without us even noticing. Whenever you find yourself trapped in a cycle of pain, frustration, or emotional dependency, it's a sign that something in your unconscious needs to be recognized and integrated. But this isn't easy. We live in a world that teaches us to seek answers outside ourselves, to fill our voids with relationships, objects, or external achievements. We've been led to believe we'll be happy when we have more money, a perfect partner, or social recognition. Jung challenged this narrative and showed us that true fulfillment doesn't come from outside but from within. When you decide to confront yourself, when you have the courage to look at your shadows and embrace your authenticity, something incredible happens. You start to realize you don't need anything external to feel complete. You discover that the source of your power has always been within you, waiting for you to reconnect with it. Perhaps you felt this in moments of deep introspection, or when you allowed yourself to release something that hurt you. That instant when you felt inexplicable relief, as if a huge burden had lifted, is the result of emotional detachment. It's a glimpse of what you can achieve when you stop seeking outside what you already have within. Detachment is not a single event. It's an ongoing process of releasing what no longer serves you and embracing what does. Every relationship you end, every dream you adjust, and every expectation you let go of is another step toward your authenticity. Jung understood that this process could be painful, but he also knew that it's in that pain where we find our greatest growth. The key is to trust the process. Though detachment may feel like a loss, it's actually a gain. You're gaining clarity, peace, and personal power. You're reclaiming the parts of yourself you'd handed over to the world out of fear or need. Most importantly, you're learning to live from your truth, not from others' expectations. Jung often said that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But this privilege isn't granted. It's earned through inner work, reflection, and conscious detachment. It's a path few choose because it requires courage, but the rewards are invaluable. Every time you choose to release something that doesn't resonate with you, you're sending a powerful message to the universe. I'm ready for something better. This act of trust not only transforms your relationships, but also your perception of the world. You begin to notice things aligning almost magically. The right people enter your life, opportunities appear, and above all, your inner peace returns. The external world will always reflect your inner world. When you release your attachments and reconnect with yourself, you begin to create a reality that truly inspires you. This is the true power of emotional detachment and the essence of Carl Jung's message. It's time to reclaim that power and live the life you've always deserved. The question many ask is, how can I let go of something that feels so ingrained in my life? Jung taught that the first step to freeing yourself from emotional attachment is to identify it. Often, these attachments aren't obvious because we've normalized them over time. They might be disguised as love, ambition, or even commitment. But if something in your life is causing more suffering than growth, it's time to observe it with honesty. This process doesn't mean rejecting or blaming. In fact, Jung believed the path to freedom begins with acceptance. Accepting that you're afraid, that you've become attached to something or someone because it met a need at the time, is an act of courage. Acceptance isn't resignation. It's the recognition that you're ready to transform that connection into something that elevates your life rather than limits it. Imagine for a moment that you're carrying a backpack filled with stones. Each stone represents an attachment, a relationship that no longer works, an expectation that doesn't belong to you, a fear that holds you back. Now think, what would it be like to walk through life without that weight? This visualization shows you what letting go means. It's not losing, it's gaining freedom. Emotional detachment doesn't mean eliminating feelings, but transforming them. It's understanding that you can love someone deeply without needing them to complete you. It's recognizing that you can have ambitious goals without your worth as a human depending on achieving them. It's living with intensity and purpose, but without chains. One of Jung's most revolutionary concepts was his focus on shadow integration. Instead of fighting the parts of yourself that make you uncomfortable, Jung proposed embracing them. Behind every fear, insecurity, and attachment, there's a lesson waiting to be learned. Integration isn't easy, but it's liberating. It's looking at what hurts you and asking, what am I learning from this? How can I use this pain to grow? When you begin to integrate your shadow, something wonderful happens. The things that once controlled you start to lose their power. That toxic relationship no longer affects you the same way because you now understand what needs healing. That desperate search for approval fades because you recognize your own worth. This is the power of inner work, and Jung considered it the greatest gift we can give ourselves. Society often teaches the opposite. We must cling, and losing something or someone is a failure. But Jung saw loss as a natural part of life, an opportunity to evolve. Every time you let go, you're creating space for something new. And that space is sacred, because it's where your transformation begins. You might ask, how do I know if I'm ready to detach? The answer lies in your body, your emotions, and those signals you often ignore. If a relationship, situation, or even a belief leaves you exhausted, restless, or in constant conflict, it's a sign. that something isn't aligned with your essence. Listening to these signals is an act of self-love and connection to your truth. Detachment isn't an act of selfishness, but of deep respect for yourself. It's choosing your emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being over others' expectations. And when you do this, you inspire others to do the same. Your energy changes, your presence becomes more authentic, and the people who truly resonate with you begin to draw near. Carl Jung often spoke about the importance of living from being rather than doing or having. When you emotionally detach, you start living from being. You stop defining yourself by what you do or have, and begin valuing yourself for who you are at your essence. This shift in perspective not only transforms your life, but also impacts everyone around you. You become a beacon of authenticity and balance in a world that often lacks both. The practice of detachment is a continuous journey. It's not about reaching a final state of perfection, but committing to a process of self-discovery. There will be days when you feel you're moving backward, but even those moments are part of the journey. Jung said the human soul is resilient and designed to grow. Every step you take toward detachment is a step toward your personal power. Little by little, as you release what doesn't serve you, you begin to reconnect with something greater, your purpose. When you're not distracted by unnecessary attachments, you can hear your intuition's voice with clarity. That voice has always been there, guiding you toward a more authentic, fulfilling life, aligned with your true essence. When you give yourself permission to detach, you give yourself permission to be free. And that freedom is what will allow you to reclaim your power and transform your reality. Carl Jung left us an invaluable legacy, the reminder that life isn't about accumulating, but releasing. It's not about seeking outside, but looking within. And when we do this, we discover everything we've ever needed was already within us. Emotional detachment not only liberates, it transforms. It changes how you perceive the world, relationships, and most importantly, yourself. When you begin practicing detachment, you realize something fundamental. Many of the chains binding you don't come from the outside, but from your own beliefs and expectations. This can be a blow to your ego, but it's also an empowering revelation. Jung believed our projections, the qualities we see in others, whether positive or negative, are direct reflections of what we carry within. That's why relationships that seem to be the source of our suffering are actually mirrors showing us parts of ourselves that need healing or integration. It's no coincidence that the people who affect you emotionally the most are also the ones with the most lessons to offer. Think of someone who has deeply frustrated or hurt you. What emotions did they awaken in you? Anger, sadness, disappointment? Jung would say those emotions are clues, not about that person, but about you. Why does this affect you so much? What story are you telling yourself that makes you feel this way? These questions may be uncomfortable, but they're the path to true liberation. Emotional detachment doesn't mean avoiding these emotions. It means facing them courageously. It's allowing yourself to feel the anger, sadness, or fear without clinging to them. It's observing those feelings like waves in the sea. They come, they impact you, but eventually, they recede. By doing this, you learn to respond instead of react, to act from your power rather than your wounds. As you practice this detachment, something fascinating begins to happen. The things that once triggered intense emotional responses in you lose their control. It's as if you could see them from a different, broader, and more compassionate perspective. Jung described this as a step toward individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are by integrating all parts of yourself, including those you denied or repressed. Imagine living a life where you're not enslaved by your emotions or others' expectations. A life where you can love without fear of loss, dream without fear of failure, and be yourself without seeking anyone's approval. This isn't an unattainable ideal. It's the natural result of emotional detachment. But to get there, you need to be willing to let go. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting. Trusting that the universe has a plan for you, one that's grander and more beautiful than you could imagine. Trusting that when you release what no longer resonates with you, you're opening space for something better. Jung described this as an act of faith. not in a religious sense, but in absolute trust in the flow of life. We often cling to things because we fear the void that might remain if we let them go. But Jung taught that this void isn't something to fear. It's fertile ground, a place where the new can emerge. When you release what doesn't belong to you, you're creating the space needed for what truly does. In this process, you also begin to realize something profound. You don't need everything to be perfect to be happy. Jung believed perfection is an illusion that only distances us from our humanity. Instead, wholeness, that state of connection with who you truly are, is what brings true peace and happiness. And wholeness doesn't require perfection, it requires authenticity. Emotional detachment is the bridge to that authenticity. It's the act of telling yourself, I don't need to control everything. I don't need others to define me. I don't need things to go as planned to feel complete. When you reach this point, you experience a peace that transcends external circumstances. This peace doesn't mean you'll never face challenges or difficult emotions. Life will always have ups and downs because that's its natural rhythm. But detachment allows you to navigate those ups and downs with grace. You no longer feel swept away by the current because you now know the true power lies within. The world changes when you change. Relationships that once caused you conflict transform because you now see them with new eyes. You no longer seek others to fill your voids because you've learned to fill them yourself. You no longer fear loneliness because you've discovered that being with yourself is enough. Jung said the journey toward wholeness begins when we stop seeking outside and start looking within. This is the gift of emotional detachment. It reconnects you with your essence, your power, and your purpose. It reminds you that you don't need to be someone else or have something more to be happy. Everything you need is already within you. Emotional detachment isn't an abstract theory. It's a practical art you can apply to every aspect of your life, from personal relationships to goals and dreams. Every interaction with the world is influenced by your ability to release. However, applying detachment requires something fundamental: awareness. Jung said awareness is the first step to any transformation, because you can only change what you acknowledge. Think about your current relationships. How many are based on expectations, on the need to be something for the other, instead of simply being yourself? Attachment arises when we feel we need someone or something to be happy. But this need doesn't come from authentic love. It comes from fear. Fear of loneliness, rejection, loss. Jung understood that fear doesn't disappear by ignoring it. It disappears by facing it courageously. A powerful exercise you can practice is observing your emotions without judgment. When you feel frustration, anger, or even sadness washing over you, pause for a moment and ask, what is this emotion showing me? What part of me needs attention or healing? This simple yet profound act helps you shift from reactive mode to a state of conscious reflection. Jung believed every emotion has a purpose. Even the most uncomfortable ones are messengers of something deeper. For example, if you feel an intense need to control a relationship or situation, it might reveal an underlying fear of losing control in other areas of your life. By exploring that fear, you can begin to release it, and with it, free the relationship or situation from the weight of your expectations. Detachment doesn't mean abandoning your dreams or relationships. It means approaching them from a place of freedom, not need. Imagine having an ambitious goal you want to achieve, but instead of obsessing over the result, you choose to focus on enjoying the process. This mindset shift not only reduces stress but also increases your chances of success. Why? Because you're no longer working from fear of failure, but from love for what you do. The same applies to relationships. When you emotionally detach, you don't stop loving. Your love becomes purer. You no longer love from the expectation of receiving something in return, but from the genuine desire to share your essence. This type of love is not only more powerful, but also more enduring, because it isn't conditioned by external circumstances. Jung saw detachment as a portal to individuation, that process where you become who you truly are instead of who you think you should be. But this journey isn't without challenges. There will be moments when you're tempted to return to old patterns, to cling to the familiar out of fear of the unknown. It's in those moments you most need to remember why you started this path. A key element of emotional detachment is learning to set boundaries. Often, we become emotionally attached because we don't know how to say no. We allow people or situations to invade our emotional space because we fear the consequences of setting clear boundaries. But Jung reminded us that self-respect begins with the ability to protect our energy. Saying no isn't an act of selfishness, it's an act of self-love. Boundaries not only protect you, they also help you discern which relationships and situations are truly worth your time and energy. When you have the courage to set boundaries, something magical happens. You start attracting people and experiences aligned with your essence. This isn't a coincidence. It's the natural result of living from your truth. Another transformative aspect of detachment is its impact on how you handle change and loss. Instead of resisting the inevitable, you begin to see it as an opportunity to grow. Jung said every loss, every ending, is also a beginning. But to see the new beginning, you need to release the past. This is an act of faith, trusting that the universe is always working in your favor, even when it doesn't seem like it. As you progress on this path, you'll notice your perception of success and happiness also changes. What once seemed essential now feels irrelevant. This doesn't mean you settle for less. It means you become clearer about what truly matters. Jung described this as a process of simplification, where you eliminate the superficial to focus on the essential. The true power of emotional detachment lies in the peace it brings, a peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances, but on your connection with yourself. This peace isn't the absence of emotions or challenges, but the ability to face them with calm and clarity. It's knowing that no matter what happens, you're okay because you have everything you need within you. Detachment also frees you from time. Often we emotionally attach to ideas about how things should be or when they should happen. Jung understood that this attachment to time is one of humanity's main sources of suffering. By releasing these expectations, you allow yourself to live in the present, where life truly happens. Every day is an opportunity to practice detachment. From small interactions to major decisions, you always have the choice to let go instead of cling. And every time you choose to let go, you're one step closer to reclaiming your personal power. Emotional detachment is, in essence, an act of self-love. It's choosing to free yourself from everything that doesn't resonate with your truth to make space for what truly matters. On this path, you not only reclaim your personal power, but also discover a peace and freedom that transform every aspect of your life. But this isn't a process to undertake alone. We're all connected, and by sharing your authenticity with the world, you inspire others to do the same. Carl Jung said that by illuminating our shadows, we also illuminate the path for those around us. And that is one of the greatest contributions we can make in this world, to be a living example of living from being, from truth, and from detachment. Now, I'd like to extend an invitation. If this message resonated with you, if you felt something ignite within you as you listened to these words, don't keep it to yourself. Many people out there need to hear this. They're searching for tools to reconnect with their inner power and live a more authentic life. I encourage you to leave a comment below. Tell me which part of this message touched your heart, or what actions you're willing to take to implement emotional detachment in your life. Your words aren't just a way to express your intention. They can inspire others who read your experience. Also, share this video with someone you think needs it. That person struggling with emotional chaos, who's lost their way, or who simply needs a spark of inspiration. Never underestimate the impact a simple action can have on someone else's life. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Here, you'll find more content to help you grow, reflect, and reconnect with your essence. Every interaction, whether a like, share, or comment, not only strengthens this community, but also helps this message reach more people who need it. Remember always, you're not alone on this journey. We're a community of souls seeking truth, balance, and wholeness. By working on yourself, releasing attachments, and embracing authenticity, you not only transform your life, but contribute to a greater change in the world. This is your moment. Choose to release what doesn't belong to you. Choose to live from your power, Choose to be the best version of yourself, because when you change, the world changes with you. Thank you for being part of this transformation. See you in the next video. And remember, the power has always been and always will be within you.